Ladies and gentlemen, today, I take you on a journey to a forgotten city, Gholghola, the once thriving capital of the Ghorid Empire in Afghanistan. Known as the City of Screams, this ancient settlement stands as a symbol of resilience, destruction, and the enduring legacy of a great civilization. Gholghola was once a flourishing city, deeply rooted in the grandeur of the Ghorid Empire, which ruled over vast territories in present-day Afghanistan, Iran, and northern India during the 12th and early 13th centuries. The Ghorids, known for their military prowess and administrative capabilities, transformed Gholghola into a major center of governance, trade, and culture. The city was strategically located near Bamyan, an area that had long been a crossroads for merchants, scholars, and travelers moving between Central Asia, Persia, and the Indian subcontinent. This advantageous position allowed Gholghola to prosper economically, as caravans brought silk, spices, and precious stones from distant lands, enriching the empire. Its marketplaces were filled with merchants from different cultures, creating a melting pot of ideas and traditions. Beyond trade, Gholghola also served as a center of learning and administration. The Ghorids, inspired by Persian and Islamic traditions, promoted architecture, scholarship, and governance. The city's rulers invested in the construction of mosques, palaces, and fortifications, making it not just a political stronghold, but also a hub of intellectual and artistic activity. However, Gholghola was not just a city of wealth and knowledge. It was also a formidable military base. The Ghorids maintained strong defenses, ensuring that their capital remained protected against external threats. Towering walls, watchtowers, and well-armed garrisons made it one of the most secure cities of its time. This military strength allowed the Ghorids to expand their empire and resist numerous invasions, until the fateful day when the Mongols arrived in 1221. Gholghola's rise to power was a testament to the ambition and strategic brilliance of the Ghorid rulers. Their ability to harness trade, governance, and military strength made it one of the most significant cities of its era. But like many great civilizations before it, Gholghola's glory was not destined to last forever. Gholghola was not just an ordinary city. It was a fortress built to withstand sieges and attacks. The rulers of the Ghorid Empire understood the importance of security, especially given their turbulent political landscape, surrounded by rival empires and warring factions. To ensure the safety of their capital, they designed Gholghola with a series of strategic defenses that made it one of the most formidable strongholds in the region. The city's fortifications were constructed using thick mud brick walls, reinforced with stone in key areas. These towering walls surrounded the city, making direct assaults difficult for invading armies. At various points, watchtowers were strategically positioned to provide an elevated view of the surrounding landscape, allowing guards to spot any approaching threats long before they could reach the city gates. This gave defenders ample time to prepare for battle or close the gates to prevent enemy entry. In addition to the walls and towers, Gholghola's layout followed a defensive strategy that included narrow, winding streets designed to slow down intruders. If an enemy force breached the outer defenses, they would find themselves navigating a maze-like city, making it difficult for them to advance quickly or regroup in case of counterattacks. This urban planning was a common defensive tactic in medieval cities, preventing large enemy forces from moving efficiently within the city. The city also had well-placed fortified gates, each heavily guarded. These gates were designed not only for entry and exit, but also as secondary lines of defense. If an enemy force attempted to break through, defenders could unleash a rain of arrows, boiling oil, or other deadly projectiles from above. The gates were reinforced with metal and thick wooden beams, making them nearly impenetrable without prolonged siege equipment. Gholghola's elevated position in the mountainous region of Bamyan further added to its defensive strength. Being built on higher ground gave its defenders a significant advantage over invaders trying to climb up towards the city. Any advancing army would be exhausted by the time they reached the walls, giving the defenders the upper hand in battle. In addition to physical defenses, the city was protected by a well-trained garrison of soldiers. These warriors were skilled in archery, sword fighting, and siege warfare. They patrolled the walls, guarded the gates, and ensured that the city remained secure from both external invaders and internal rebellions. These fortifications made Gholghola one of the most difficult cities to conquer, until betrayal from within changed its fate forever. The fall of Gholghola was not just another conquest in the Mongol invasion of Central Asia. It was an event marked by betrayal, destruction, and the brutal wrath of Genghis Khan. In the early 13th century, the Mongols, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, were rapidly expanding their empire, sweeping across vast territories and crushing any resistance in their path. Their military campaigns were defined by their unparalleled speed, strategic brilliance, and ruthless efficiency. In 1221, as part of his campaign against the Khwarezmian Empire and its allies, Genghis Khan turned his attention toward the region of Bamyan, where Gholghola stood as a major stronghold. The Mongols had already decimated many cities across Persia and Central Asia, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The people of Gholghola knew that if the Mongols reached their gates, their chances of survival were slim. Despite its formidable defenses, Gholghola became a target for Mongol vengeance due to a deeply personal reason. Genghis Khan's favorite grandson, Matukin, was killed during the siege of Bamyan. This enraged the Mongol ruler, and he vowed to annihilate the city that had dared to resist his forces. The Mongols laid siege to Gholghola, surrounding the city with their vast army, cutting off its supplies, and waiting for an opportunity to breach its defenses. The people of Gholghola, led by their local rulers and warriors, resisted fiercely. They fought valiantly, using the city's fortifications to their advantage. The Mongols, known for their expertise in siege warfare, attempted to break through the walls using battering rams and siege engines, but the defenders held their ground for weeks. However, the fate of Gholghola was not sealed by the Mongols' military superiority alone. It was treachery from within that led to its downfall. According to historical accounts, a member of the city's ruling elite, possibly a trusted official or a desperate noble seeking to save his own life, betrayed Gholghola by revealing a secret entry point to the Mongols. This act of treason allowed the Mongol forces to infiltrate the city, bypassing its strong outer defenses. Once inside, the Mongols unleashed their full fury upon Gholghola. They massacred its inhabitants, sparing no one. Men, women, and children were slaughtered without mercy. The city was set ablaze, its buildings reduced to rubble, and its streets ran red with blood. The betrayal that had allowed the Mongols to enter had sealed the city's doom, ensuring that no trace of its former glory would remain. Genghis Khan, still furious over the loss of his grandson, ordered the complete destruction of Gholghola. Unlike other cities that the Mongols sometimes spared after conquest, Gholghola was not given a chance to recover. It was systematically obliterated, and its ruins became a haunting reminder of the price of resistance against the Mongol Empire. When the Mongols breached the defenses of Gholghola, the city was thrust into an unimaginable nightmare. Genghis Khan, still grieving the loss of his grandson Matukin, had already vowed that no mercy would be shown to the people of the city. The Mongols were infamous for their tactics of complete annihilation, and their conquest of Gholghola was no exception. What followed was one of the most brutal episodes in the Mongol invasions, an act of vengeance so complete that the city would never rise again. Once the Mongol warriors entered the city, they began their massacre. No one was spared. Men, women, children, and even the elderly were slaughtered indiscriminately. The Mongols moved through the streets with terrifying efficiency, cutting down anyone who tried to resist and executing those who surrendered. They showed no distinction between soldiers and civilians. The entire population was marked for death. Historical accounts suggest that the Mongols took a particularly cruel approach to their destruction of Gholghola. Many victims were not simply killed, but were subjected to torturous deaths. Some were burned alive in their homes, while others were impaled on spikes as a warning to future rebels. The Mongols were known for their psychological warfare, And by making an example of Gholghola, they sought to instill fear in the hearts of other cities that might dare to resist them. Buildings were not just looted but methodically destroyed. The Mongols set fire to homes, marketplaces, and places of worship. Libraries, which housed centuries of knowledge and manuscripts, were turned to ash. Palaces and fortifications were reduced to rubble, ensuring that the city could never again be used as a stronghold. Every structure that stood as a symbol of the city's former power was torn down. The destruction was not just about military conquest. It was about erasing Gholghola from history itself. To ensure that nothing remained, the Mongols went a step further. In many of their conquests, they employed brutal methods such as poisoning wells, salting the earth, and tearing down irrigation systems to make the land uninhabitable. While specific records of these tactics in Gholghola are scarce, it is likely that similar methods were used to prevent any survivors from rebuilding. The sheer scale of destruction was so horrifying that the city came to be known as the City of Screams, a name that echoes the suffering of those who perished. The screams of the dying, the wailing of the survivors, and the roar of the burning city must have created an apocalyptic scene that haunted those who witnessed it. Even centuries later, local legends and oral traditions speak of the horrors that unfolded within the walls of Gholghola. By the time the Mongols were done, there was nothing left of the once great city. It was not simply defeated, it was wiped from existence, its people erased, its buildings turned to dust. What had once been a thriving center of power and culture was now an empty ruin, a grim monument to the wrath of Genghis Khan and the unstoppable force of the Mongol Empire. The name City of Screams is not just a dramatic title. It is a haunting reminder of the sheer horror that unfolded in Gholghola. The name itself evokes the cries of the thousands of innocent people who perished in one of the most brutal massacres of the Mongol invasions. Unlike other cities that were conquered and later repopulated, Gholghola's destruction was so complete that it never recovered, and the echoes of its downfall remained in local folklore for centuries. The origins of the name can be traced back to the bloodbath that followed Genghis Khan's invasion in 1221. As the Mongols stormed through the streets, cutting down men, women, and children alike, the city was filled with screams of agony, terror, and despair. Those who tried to flee found no escape, trapped within the burning ruins, slaughtered at the gates, or hunted down by Mongol horsemen. The air was thick with the sound of suffering, and survivors who managed to hide in the rubble later recounted the unbearable cries of their fellow citizens. Eyewitnesses and later chroniclers described the massacre as one of the most terrifying events of its time. The Mongols, already known for their merciless tactics, made sure that Gholghola became an example for all other cities that might consider resisting them. They did not simply kill the inhabitants, they made them suffer, ensuring that the pain and fear they inflicted would be remembered for generations. The destruction was not a quick conquest, it was a prolonged nightmare, with the cries of the dying echoing through the mountains and valleys surrounding the city. Some legends even suggest that the screams of Gholghola did not end with the massacre itself. According to local folklore, the spirits of the dead still haunt the ruins, and on quiet nights, the echoes of their suffering can still be heard in the wind. This belief has contributed to the city's eerie reputation, with travelers and historians reporting a strange sense of unease when visiting the ruins. The combination of historical tragedy and supernatural legends has solidified Gholghola's reputation as a cursed place, forever marked by its violent past. In many ways, the name City of Screams serves as both a warning and a memorial. It reminds us of the consequences of war, the horrors of betrayal, and the relentless destruction wrought by the Mongol Empire. It is not just a name. It is the voice of a lost civilization, forever crying out from the shadows of history. Despite the devastation that Gholghola endured at the hands of the Mongols, its ruins still stand as a haunting reminder of its tragic past. Located in the Bamyan Valley of Afghanistan, these remnants of a once thriving city continue to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and travelers who seek to uncover the secrets of its destruction and former glory. The ruins, though weathered by time, offer a glimpse into the architectural brilliance and strategic urban planning of the Ghorid era. The remains of Gholghola primarily consist of crumbling walls, collapsed watchtowers, and scattered foundations of buildings that once housed a flourishing population. The city's strategic position atop a hill is still evident, showcasing why it was once considered a formidable stronghold. From the heights of the ruins, one can overlook the vast Bamyan Valley, which was historically an important crossroads for trade and culture. This vantage point not only provided defense, but also controlled key routes through the region. Archaeologists who have studied the ruins believe that Gholghola was built using a combination of mud bricks, stone, and timber, materials that were common in medieval Central Asian architecture. The erosion of these structures over centuries has left behind fragmented walls and broken archways, yet their presence speaks volumes about the scale and sophistication of the city. Some of the surviving sections of the fortifications indicate that the city was once protected by thick, reinforced walls designed to withstand sieges. One of the most fascinating aspects of the ruins is their connection to the greater historical landscape of Bamyan. This region is famous for the Buddhas of Bamyan, the massive rock-carved statues that stood for over 1,000 years before being destroyed by the Taliban in 2001. The close proximity of Gholghola to these historical sites suggests that the city played a significant role in the cultural and political interactions between different civilizations, including Buddhist and Islamic influences. For those who visit the ruins today, the experience is both mesmerizing and eerie. Walking through the silent remains of Gholghola, one can almost hear the echoes of the past, the bustling life of its people before the Mongol invasion, the cries of resistance during the siege, and the terrifying screams that gave the city its infamous name. Many travelers and locals believe that the ruins are haunted, adding a mystical aura to the site. Some even claim to have felt an unshakable sense of sorrow while exploring the remnants of the fallen city. In recent years, efforts have been made to preserve what remains of Gholghola, recognizing its historical significance. The Afghan government, along with international heritage organizations, has attempted to protect the site from further degradation caused by natural erosion, looting, and the impacts of modern conflict. However, due to the ongoing instability in the region, preservation efforts have been challenging, and much of the site remains unexplored and vulnerable to decay. Despite its ruined state, Gholghola continues to be an important landmark, a silent witness to the brutality of history and the resilience of civilizations. It serves as an open-air museum, where the stones and broken walls tell the story of a city that once stood proudly before being wiped out by the unstoppable force of the Mongols. The story of Gholghola is not just about the rise and fall of a city. It is a powerful lesson in history, warfare, resilience, and the consequences of power struggles. Studying Gholghola gives us insights into medieval warfare, the brutality of the Mongol conquests, and the importance of strategic strongholds in empires. It also teaches us about the dangers of betrayal, the impact of war on civilian populations, and the long-lasting effects of destruction on cultural heritage. One of the key lessons that Gholghola teaches us is the importance of fortifications and military strategy. The city was designed to be nearly impenetrable, with its high walls, watchtowers, and strategic location making it an ideal stronghold. The Ghurids, who ruled over Gholghola, understood the importance of urban planning and defense, ensuring that the city could withstand prolonged sieges. However, even the strongest fortresses can fall, not always by sheer force, but sometimes through betrayal and internal weaknesses. The fact that a single act of treachery led to the city's downfall is a stark reminder that empires are not only threatened by external enemies, but also by divisions within. Gholghola also highlights the terrifying power of the Mongol war machine. Genghis Khan and his forces were known for their efficiency, discipline, and ruthless tactics. They were not just conquerors, they were destroyers, capable of wiping entire cities off the map as a warning to others. The complete annihilation of Gholghola shows how Mongol warfare went beyond simple conquest. It was psychological warfare aimed at breaking the will of future opponents. Cities that resisted, like Gholghola, were met with mass executions and total destruction, while those that surrendered were often spared. This tactic forced many cities to submit without a fight, fearing the same fate as Gholghola. Another crucial lesson from Gholghola is the devastating impact of war on civilians. In medieval warfare, entire populations were often caught in the crossfire, and Gholghola was no exception. The people who lived within its walls, merchants, scholars, craftsmen, and families, were all slaughtered in the Mongol invasion. This reminds us that war is not just a matter of armies and rulers. It is the innocent who often suffer the most. The name City of Screams stands as a testament to the horrors that civilians endured during this dark chapter in history. Furthermore, Gholghola's ruins teach us the value of historical preservation. Even though the city was destroyed centuries ago, its remnants continue to offer valuable insights into the past. The ruins help archaeologists understand the architecture, lifestyle, and defensive strategies of the Ghorid Empire. However, like many historical sites, Gholghola is at risk due to natural erosion, modern conflict, and lack of preservation efforts. The loss of such sites would mean losing crucial pieces of our collective history. This emphasizes the need for countries and international organizations to work towards protecting historical landmarks, ensuring that future generations can learn from them. The fall of Gholghola also serves as a reminder of the temporary nature of power. No matter how strong an empire appears, history has shown time and again that nothing lasts forever. The Ghurids were once a dominant force, ruling over vast territories, but their power faded, just as many empires before and after them. The ruins of Gholghola stand as a symbol of this inevitable cycle. Empires rise, thrive, and eventually fall. Finally, Gholghola teaches us the importance of remembering history. By studying the past, we gain a better understanding of the present and future. The destruction of Gholghola was a tragic event, but the lessons it offers remain relevant even today. Whether it is the consequences of war, the dangers of internal betrayal, or the need for historical preservation, Gholghola's story continues to resonate across time. Gholghola stands as a powerful reminder of the rise and fall of civilizations, the brutality of war, and the consequences of betrayal. Once a thriving stronghold of the Ghorid Empire, it was reduced to ruins by the wrath of the Mongols, earning its haunting name, the City of Screams. Though centuries have passed, its story continues to captivate historians and visitors alike, offering valuable lessons about resilience, power, and the impermanence of even the greatest empires. Today, the silent ruins of Gholghola whisper tales of its tragic past, urging us to remember and learn from history. Whether as an archaeological treasure, a symbol of destruction, or a lesson in human endurance, Gholghola remains an enduring testament to the events that shaped Afghanistan and the medieval world.